Hey guys, welcome to this channel. What you're about to hear is real. Real people, real mystery.
Okay, so imagine this. You and your best friend plan a trip for 6 months. You save up money, you quit your job, you buy the flights. You land in this beautiful country. You're having the time of your life. And then one afternoon, you go for a hike. A short hike, an easy trail, something tourists do every single day. And you never come back. That's what happened to Kris and Lisanne, two girls from the Netherlands who traveled to Panama in 2014 and just vanished.
But what really messed me up when I started digging into this case wasn't even the disappearance itself. It was what they left behind. 77 emergency calls, a camera full of photos taken in the middle of the night, a week after they went missing, and bones that made forensic experts go quiet. Before I tell you what happened, I need you to actually know who Kris and Lisanne were, because I think sometimes in these cases people become just names, and these were real girls with real lives. Kris Kremers was 21. She was studying art and social education at university. By everyone who knew her, she was just one of those people, warm, creative, the kind of person that makes a room feel better just by being in it. Lisanne Froon was 22. She just finished her psychology degree and wanted to work with kids who'd been through trauma. Calm girl, thoughtful. Her friends say she was sharp as anything. They grew up in the same town in the Netherlands, a place called Amersfoort, and a few weeks before this trip, Lisanne actually moved into Kris's dorm room so they could save money faster. They were both working at the same cafe, putting away every coin they earned. All for this trip. Panama was supposed to be a graduation gift for Lisanne. They wanted to learn Spanish, volunteer with local kids, and just experience something real, something bigger than themselves. They weren't the type to be careless. They weren't backpackers trying to go off the grid. They were two smart, responsible young women who had planned everything carefully. They landed in Panama on March 15th, 2014. Nobody knew then that the clock was already ticking. So they spent 2 weeks exploring Panama before settling in a town called Boquete. It's a small mountain town. Beautiful place, actually. Lots of tourists go there. They moved in with a local host family and started volunteering with children at a school nearby. Then, on the morning of April 1st, and yeah, April Fool's Day, I know, Kris and Lisanne decided to go for a hike. The trail was called El Pianista. It's a well-known tourist trail. Easy, popular, the kind of walk where you're back in time for dinner. They left the house just after 11 in the morning. They looked fine, relaxed. They even took the host family's dog with them. A few hours went by. The dog came home. Kris and Lisanne didn't. The host family waited. Then they started searching around the house. Nothing. The next morning, the girls had a scheduled appointment with a local tour guide, and they didn't show up. That's when people started to really panic. By April 6th, their parents had flown in from the Netherlands. Dutch detectives came with them. Search dogs, helicopters, a proper international search operation. They searched for 10 days straight. Nothing. Not a footprint, not a piece of clothing, not a single trace that these two women had ever been on that trail. It was like the jungle just swallowed them whole. Okay, so this is where things start to get really weird. 10 weeks go by, no sign of them. Families are devastated, the search has basically wound down, and then on June 14th, a local woman shows up with a blue backpack she says she found by a riverbank near her village. It's Lisanne's backpack. Inside, they find sunglasses, cash, an insurance card, a water bottle, both of their phones, and Lisanne's camera. Now, stop right there. That backpack had supposedly been sitting out in the Panamanian jungle for 10 weeks. During rainy season, there were reports of heavy rainfall in those weeks. Everything in that bag should have been destroyed. soaked through, ruined. But it wasn't. The bag was dry, the contents were dry, everything was in perfect condition, like it had just been packed that morning. And the woman who found it, she said she was certain it wasn't there the day before. So either this bag somehow survived months of tropical rain completely undamaged, or someone put it there recently, for it to be found. Then investigators looked at the phones, and honestly, I don't even know how to explain what they found. In the hours after the girls disappeared, someone had tried to call emergency services 77 times from their phones. 77 times! None of the calls connected because there was no signal in that part of the jungle. But here's the part that got me. Days after they went missing, Lisanne's phone was still being switched on. At night. Almost at the same time every night. Like whoever had it knew when there might be a window of signal. Kris's phone had already died, but Lisanne's Samsung kept being turned on for days, long after they should have either been rescued or not. Who was turning that phone on?
Alright, deep breath, because this part is the one that I keep thinking about. When investigators went through Lisanne's camera, they found loads of photos from the start of the hike. Normal stuff. The trail, the scenery, them smiling. Standard tourist photos. But then, on the night of April 8th, a whole week after they disappeared, the camera suddenly takes over 90 photos. In the middle of the night. In complete darkness. Most of them show nothing. Just black. Every now and then the flash catches something. A rock, a stream, trees. But 90 photos. In the dark. In the middle of the jungle. A week after they vanished. The most likely explanation people have come up with is that they were using the camera flash as a signal. Like a beacon. Desperately hoping someone out there in the dark would see the flashes and find them. But here's what doesn't sit right with me. Some of those photos were taken at weird angles, like the camera wasn't being held properly, like it was tilted or falling. And a few researchers who've studied the photos closely say some of them don't look like they were taken by someone in distress. They look almost deliberate. And then there's photo 509. There's a gap in the photo sequence. Photo 509 is missing. Gone. Deleted or lost before the memory card ever reached the investigators. Nobody knows what was on it. Nobody knows who deleted it or why.
When the remains were eventually found, and I have to warn you this part is rough, only about 10% of Lisanne's bones were recovered, and only around 5% of Kris's, scattered across a riverbank miles away from the trail. But the thing that nobody could explain, and forensic experts genuinely struggled with this, is that the two sets of bones were in completely different states. Lisanne's bones looked like normal decomposition, natural, expected. Kris's bones were completely white, bleached, as if they'd been treated with some kind of chemical. Two friends, same jungle, same time frame, completely different. How? Though obviously everybody wants an answer here, and the truth is, there isn't one. Not a confirmed one, anyway. The official conclusion from Panamanian authorities was that it was a tragic accident. That the girls got lost on the trail, maybe one of them fell, they ended up off the main path in deep jungle, and eventually they died, and their remains were scattered by the river. A lot of people accept that, and honestly, it's possible. Jungles are brutal. Getting lost even on a well-known trail can happen. Nature doesn't need a villain to be deadly. But the Dutch private investigators hired by the families weren't buying it. And when you look at the details, it's easy to see why. The dry backpack that appeared out of nowhere, the
phone being used in a pattern that seems too deliberate for someone panicking. The missing photo, the bleached bones. These details don't sit easily with a simple accident story. Some people think foul play was involved, that the girls crossed paths with the wrong person or people in a remote area. Boquete is a generally safe town, but the surrounding jungle region isn't exactly monitored. Others think there are just too many unanswered questions to point clearly at either explanation. And in 2025, 11 years later, new technical analysis of the phone data is still being done. Researchers are still arguing about it. Podcasts are still covering it, because nobody has ever been able to draw a clean line under this case and say, this is what happened. Kris and Lisanne are still waiting for their answer. I started researching this case thinking it would be straightforward. Missing persons case, tragic ending, move on. But I've been thinking about it for days now. About those 77 phone calls that never connected. About whoever was turning that phone on every night in the dark. About what was on photo 509. Two girls who just wanted to help some kids and see the world. That's it. That's all they were doing. And the jungle took them and never gave them back properly. If you want to look into this case yourself, it's worth it. There's a lot more detail than I could fit in here, and the rabbit hole goes deep. If this is the kind of content you're into, subscribe. Leave your theory in the comments, because I genuinely want to know what you think happened. And share this with someone who loves a good mystery. I'll see you in the next one.